Today we're building Airbnb's house icon in Figma. Today we're building the full structure of the house except for the bushes and trees. It involves a lot of vectors, shapes, and effects, so let's get started. Okay, starting out we need to make a rectangle, so hitting R on the keyboard and dragging into our screen. We'll change the dimensions to 28 by 28, and then we'll change the fill color to F4, F3, F1. Looks like it disappears, but it's still there, I promise. We'll double click into the vector editing mode, and this top left corner needs to come down 10 pixels. So we'll select that corner and start dragging 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now we need to make a second rectangle. I'm going to do it to the right of that original one, just so we can keep track of it. But for future reference, if you have a shape or any element that's super hard to see, you can always come here on the left panel and it will highlight it for you to select. But to get started, we'll hit that R on the keyboard for that shortcut. We'll change the dimensions to a 12 by 20, and then we'll change the fill color to C1, C1, C1 at 100%. We'll double click into the shape to bring up the vector editing mode, and we need to change this top corner. We need to move that up 4.5 pixels. So there's 2, 3, 4.5. We need to now move this shape over the original shape that we made. However, I'm going to change this to white. I'll copy the hex code before I do that, but I want all of us to be able to see a little bit better of what I'm talking about. So it's white, and I'll change it back in a second. But we want to center align this shape over that original one, and then we want to bottom align it. In our regular editing mode, it doesn't let us bottom align it, so we need to double click into the vector editing mode and drag it down, and it will bottom align for us. Clicking out of that and selecting the original shape, we can then paste that hex color back in for the fill, and we are good. Next, we need to make a line, so hitting L on the keyboard for a shortcut, we'll drag it down. It needs to be a 14 by 0 with a weight of 1.5. We'll drag it over, and we want it to overlap the darker area of that rectangle we made. We want it to be bottom aligned here, and we want the outer edge of the line to be 1.5 pixels in from the outer edge of the darker shape. So since it's good there, we can keep the line selected. We'll hold down Shift and select the rectangle under it. We'll use the Boolean operation subtract, and that will give us an empty pillar, which we need for steps later on. But then we can group everything together using Command or Control G, and then add an inner shadow effect. We'll hit plus here, change it to inner shadow. Everything will stay the same except for the color. We want all A's, so if you hit A once and tab, it will autofill, and then we need to change that to 100%, and we're good. Starting on the door, we'll make another line, so hitting L on the keyboard. We want it to be the same length as this, so if we come in 1 pixel here on this corner, start dragging down, it will be a 14 by 0, which is great. That's what we need. We'll change that color to a 606060, hit enter, and then we'll duplicate it using Option. So holding Option on the keyboard and dragging over to the right 9 pixels, still bottom aligned, and just 1 pixel in from the right here. We'll do a third line, hitting L and dragging from there. It needs to be 10 pixels by 0. Change that fill color to 606060, and we have our door frame. Now we'll make the door within the frame itself, so we need to make it a rectangle. We'll do R on the keyboard for the shortcut, and we'll drag it from this corner, and we're just going to overlap that darker rectangle within the frame. We'll change the fill color of that to a linear gradient with 2 stops. The first stop is going to be 0, and the fill color of that is E64545 at 100%. And then the second stop is going to be 100, and the fill color for that is going to be DF3455, also at 100%. We'll move the positioning of this top one to the top corner on the right side, and then this one will be the bottom left corner. Now we need to make the handle, so using a line, we'll hit L on the keyboard, and we will drag it down. It's just going to be a 2 by 0. With a stroke or a fill color of 45403A at 100%. It should be center aligned there within the door itself. And then the last thing we need to do is group the frame, the door, and the handle together to make it easy so we don't have to try to do each one individually. If you come here, hold shift and select it, it will select everything for us, and then we can just do Command G and group it together. Next, we'll make the outer lines of the house so that it reads a little bit easier and increases contrast for the dark against the light within Airbnb's app itself. So we'll hit L for a line, and we'll drag from this corner here, and we'll just drag it all the way down to bottom of the line with that edge there. We'll change that fill color to 474749 at 100%. We'll create a second line, drag from this corner. We want it to bottom line here and match up with the edge there. We'll change that stroke or fill color to a 515455 at 100%. And we need to make the planter boxes here. Those are also lines. So using L, you can see it will bottom align, but we actually want it to be a half pixel away from this edge and a half pixel away from this edge on both sides. So double clicking to vector edit that, we'll just pull it over 1 and 1, or half and half right there. And then we'll do the same thing on the other side. So L, we'll drag it over, it needs to be bottom aligned, vector edit this, half a pixel that way and half a pixel that way. We can then select this planter box and this planter box together. So while one's selected, hold shift, select the other one, and they are the same fill color. So that will be 484A4E at 100%. Now we'll make the window that goes in this top corner here. So hitting O on the keyboard for an ellipse and just dragging it to the screen. We'll change the dimensions to a 3.5 by 3.5. And we'll change that fill color there to FFFFFD at 100%. Now we'll add a stroke. It needs to be a center stroke with a weight of 0.5. And we'll change that stroke fill color to B9 BAB3 at 100. And then we'll add a drop shadow effect. So hitting plus under effects, X is 0, Y will be 0, the blur is 3.5, spread is 0, and then the color, we'll change the fill there to FEFEFC, and we'll change it to 100%. Now we can move it into place. We want to bottom align it with this line right here, and then center align it between this edge and this edge, so we should be good. The last part of this video is making the roof of the house. So hitting R on the keyboard for a rectangle, we'll just kind of drag it into place. It's going to be a 35 by 15, and then we'll change the fill color of that to 353533, and we'll add a center stroke with a weight of 1, and we'll change the fill color of that to 4F4F4D, and we can kind of move it up here so we can see. Now opening up our vector editing mode for this rectangle, this bottom right corner, we want to align, we want it 3 pixels out from the center of this line here. So that'd be the middle of this square right here. And then we want it to be the same height there, so that's great. Then what we'll do is move this top right corner, and we want it to be 3 pixels above this bottom right corner. So 1, 2, 3. For the left side of the roof, we still want to be in our vector editing mode. We'll grab this bottom left corner and we'll drag it down so we can see and zoom in. We want it to be from the top of this line, 1.5 pixel down, and then 1 pixel out. So that should be right here in the middle of this square. So we'll just drag that there. And then the top left corner, we'll drag and drop over here so we can see. We want it to be 2 diagonal pixels away and to the left from this one. So we just need to move this right there. With the roof now in place, we just need to add a drop shadow effect. So hitting plus here, it has drop shadow preloaded. X position will be 0, Y position will be 1, blur is going to be 1.2, and spread will be 0. The color will stay zeros, and we'll just change the percentage to 50. With that done, we can now select everything and group it together with Command or Control G. And that's it for step 10, and we officially have a house. In step 11, we'll be adding the finishing touches to the house with the bushes and the tree. So subscribe if you haven't already so you don't miss out on that. And if you found this helpful or you just liked it, leave a like and a comment, especially if you're building along with me. That way I know how things are going. But thanks for being here, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.